If I tell you a secret, do you promise not to tell anyone? Promise? I'm in the middle of a lot of series at the minute. Like, too many probably, but this week we're going to focus on 3. On the Natural series, the last book of the Once Upon a Broken Heart series, the Stalking Jack the Ripper series, something about Dracula, maybe Houdini, a werewolf. Let's dish about books that I'm currently in the middle of the series of. I don't normally let myself like stop in the middle of a series and just not read them. It really annoys me. The longer I've been away from that world, the sort of like less I care about it, if that makes sense. Like when I do come back, when you read a series one after each other, you kind of build a connection with the characters. We are starting on Killer Instinct from the Naturals. It's on Kindle Unlimited, which is why it's on here. I'm not going to read the blurb because that will probably spoil the first book. The Natural series is basically about these kids who have sort of abilities and they're solving serial killer cases, but they're dealing with the effects of the first book. Bigger and bigger stakes, bigger and bigger challenges. There's a lot of links to the first book, and let's get started. Let's do it. I have actually read them all before, so I do know what's going to happen, but honestly I've completely forgotten. I can't remember what happens in each book. It's Killer Instinct by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, which is book 2 of the Natural series. Okay, yeah, so I'm not gonna lie, I have actually already started, as you just saw. I don't actually know if that's all the series I'm in the middle of. I think it might be. Let's carry on because I have less than 100 pages left, so let's carry on. A postman just came to the door. I was like, just taking the post he was given. I told him, enjoy the rest of your day, which honestly doesn't sound that bad, but he just didn't respond. So I was like, okay. It's not as bad as last time where I told a stranger to look at my balls, but I just don't know how to fix this. I don't know how to get better. I just finished Bad Blood and there's going to be time left for 1 book. So do I read 12, which is like kind of like the last book in the Naturals, which you don't actually have to read because it's like a novella and I've already read it, but I don't remember what happens? Or do I read the last book in Once Upon a Broken Heart and go really over the amount of time I was supposed to have for this video? I'm just about to start 12, which is our last book for the video. Alright, so I finished the Naturals and it's time to basically just talk back through it. This has given me an idea for something that I want to do. I have so many series that I just don't think I really want to read, but I don't think I'm going to get to it because I just have like, I have to read a series in order, otherwise I just completely forget and I forget what's happening. I forget all about the characters. I think this is probably a general thing, but like I just need to read a series in order. So I think I'm gonna just carry on basically reading series and we're gonna get through every series on my bookshelf because I have a lot. Some of those will be more popular series like Powerless, Serpent and Dove, Remnant Chronicles, that sort of thing. Some of them will be ones I've already read, like The Naturals was. Just a way for you to find some new series. I really want to read Mortal Engines and that's been sat on my bookshelf for years, but there's like 7 books. I keep just putting it off, but I'm thinking if I actually just like set out a time to read it, I'm gonna do it. Oh my god, I forgot to put my rubber bands in like 3 hours ago. They are sitting downstairs. Yeah, so The Naturals. I think it would be I think it is a 5-star series. I think it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-star series, mostly because of just the build-up. Just a warning, there might be some very like minor spoilers. I'm not going to say any of the events. I'm not going to tell you what happens in the series or like who the killers are or anything like that. Some of the things I say might point you in a certain direction and maybe you want to go in completely blind, which is completely fair. But if you don't want any spoilers at all and you want to go in just without knowing anything about the series, maybe don't watch the next bit. The main thing I'm worried about saying is like everything happens for a reason. And I know that shouldn't be a spoiler. Everything happens for a reason. Every character that's introduced, every small tiny discussion that you think is just going to happen and then not really going to lead anywhere because you're like just not really sure where it's going to go. Everything's important to the point where like I can see in my head, like, you know, there's like murder boards. One you might know is like in A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, the TV show. They're like pin boards where you have like the pins with the like red string and you're like going all over it and you're just seeing the killer's mind. I can see that, but how this book series has been planned. Jennifer Lynn Barnes is an insane writer just in terms of the prep. I think they were all written before any were released and you can tell just how much like thought has been put into it. Book 1 is kind of cast, they're basically the Naturals. They are teenagers who have not really supernatural abilities, like they're natural at something. Like Cassie's very good at kind of reading people and she can tell you a lot about a person's like background just by looking at them and studying them. And that's the same as Dean. They're profilers. And then you have Michael, who's like an emotion reader, so he can tell how someone's feeling just from like a twitch of their hand or something like that. Leah is insanely good at telling lies, and she can also detect lies. She's like a human lie detector. And Sloane is like a human calculator version of Google. She knows everything. And you see kind of like the downsides as well as the upsides of that. Like Sloane, she's a human calculator. All of them have very like kind of dark backgrounds, which is how they've kind of become the like natural. Sloane kind of translates her emotions into numbers, so she can't read anyone else's emotions and she can't explain how someone's feeling. She's very separated from the other characters. Like, for example, the characters you start reading and you're like, you're very aligned with Cassie and you don't really know about the others. Like, you get very close to Michael quite quickly, but like Dean and the other three and maybe like Sterling, there's like FBI agents as well, but you're very aligned with Cassie, but you kind of go in thinking, oh, the other characters, I don't feel connected to them, whatever. The second the first book is over and you're like going through it, you don't even realize it, but you become so like closely connected with them. Even when you don't like them, you're still rooting for them, at least in terms of the main characters. And you really do just get to know them as the books go on. And I think that's the best way to build a relationship with characters, especially when it's a series. Like, you don't want to go in knowing everything. It's so important to just learn it as you go along, and these books do it perfectly. Lilla's fun fact of the day: every single book they play some sort of like game, like, you know, like the classic like American party games where it's like truth or dare. It happens every single book, and when it doesn't happen, you're like, oh, okay, we've kind of got away from that. And then it just like comes back in the last book and they're like, you know what, we haven't done this for a while. I think they do literally say that. And I think it's either a very, very good way to show how sort of unwilling the characters are to let you in on their backstories, because like I said, they all have quite dark backgrounds and they're not necessarily wanting to go around just sharing it, so they use those games as like a time when they can let their guard down, sort of, or strange attempts to get into a teenager's mind, because I've been to parties and I have played none of those games. I've never heard of anyone playing any of those games. I don't know if it is just more of an American thing, so I'm sorry if there's anyone American watching this that does play those games and is deeply, deeply heartbroken by what I've just said. My heart goes out to you. The only thing that I did not like about this series, and even this is like, it's a murder mystery, it's not a romance, so it doesn't really matter. I love a love triangle. Give me the tip of the triangle. I'm not saying tip again. Give me the point of the triangle. Give me the bottom point of the triangle. Give me the other bottom point of the triangle. Have them all linked nice and tightly. I'm gonna stop talking. I love a good love triangle is what I'm trying to say there. It didn't give me the love triangle vibes I wanted. I think I like a love triangle when you actually have to try. That sounds really bad. You do actually see the character falling in love with the two people. I think once Cassie decided who she was going to be in a relationship with, perfect. Absolutely perfect. Before then, not my favorite. A love triangle, in the beginning it needs to be difficult, and I feel like it wasn't. Not a love book, not a romance book, it's a mystery book. You don't really see her falling in love with either of them, and then suddenly she's in love with both of them, and then you also you're not really in her mind whilst she's making the decision. I don't know, maybe I'm just too picky. I don't know. I think that's the end of this video, not the world. Don't worry. 5 out of 5 series. Absolutely amazing. I'm gonna have to wrap it up here. I think I will be reading another full series in a week very soon. Never mind. I hope you've had a great time. I know I have. I hope you have a lovely day or a lovely rest of your day. I have no idea where you are. And I will see you next week. Toodles.